Christmas is coming fast. I hope your Christmas shopping is done. I hope you're getting your gifts wrapped. I hope your cookies are baked because, again, that day is coming up quick. And I've been so busy myself that I've been missing out on a lot of this movie news, especially that mess we have over at DC with James Gunn. So we're going to cover a lot of that and some new franchise sequels and possible reboots. So let's quit rambling and get started. So the first movie I'm going to talk about is Twister. Who remembers that movie from 1996? Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton played Joe and Bill Harding. They were storm chasers, and it was a really, really good movie, especially for its time with the CGI and the special effects. And now there's talks after all these years of making a sequel. Helen Hunt, if you didn't know, pitched a sequel a while back, but was turned down because her character was set to die off. Studios didn't think that was a great way to go, so they turned down her proposal. But now not only are we set to get it, but we also have a release date of 2024. So it says, according to both Collider and Deadline, that the film is being directed by Lee Isaac Chung, so that is set in stone. Frank Marshall is also on board for this. It says he could be co-financing it with Warner Brothers, and the screenplay is being written by Mark L. Smith. So that's where we stand with that. It's very early in production, so we don't have a lot of other details. But we do know is that they're in talks of getting Helen Hunt back into this movie. Now, that's not been finalized yet. We don't know if that's going to be set in stone or not. They also don't know if Bill Paxton's going to be returning. But they are saying that the film is going to be based around their daughter. Supposedly, they had a daughter in the first one, and she is going to be following in her parents' footsteps, becoming a storm chaser herself. And that's where we're going to be picking up here in the second film. It is an awful long time between films to be pulling a sequel, and sometimes this can work. I guess sometimes it doesn't. But I want to know what your thoughts are on a Twister sequel that we're obviously going to be getting now. But being it is so super early in the production, anything could happen. It could end up being scrapped, but they're very much moving forward with it as of this point. So let me know what you think about that one. Moving on from there, a big one I want to talk about is James Cameron, who is considering and, quote, in discussion to reboot the Terminator franchise. Now, we know he had a part in Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which is arguably the best Terminator film of the franchise. Now, when I say arguably, I know there's a huge fan base and they all have different opinions. I personally think it is the best one, but James Cameron is saying, and I quote, according to him, I would make it much more about the AI side of it than Bad Robots Gone Crazy. Now, that does sound like a pretty interesting concept. We did focus a lot on Bad Robots, but the AI part of it, I could see where we could dive into that more and really open the story up. I don't know about rebooting the entire franchise. I only say this because, I mean, one, it's an Arnold Schwarzenegger franchise, and you know how big he is, and when you reboot something with such a superstar behind it, it's going to lead to a lot of scrutiny. So even if it is a really good reboot and it's a very successful movie, there's going to be a lot of backlash because they're always going to say Arnold Schwarzenegger was the best. You're never going to replace Arnold Schwarzenegger. In some eyes, that may be true, but others, it might just be time to evolve and time to move on and see if we can do something better. All right, so I guess it's time to talk about this DC mess that we have going on. James Gunn has gotten everybody in an uproar about DC, and even I'm sitting here thinking myself, like, what in the world is happening? I can't believe Henry Cavill has announced that he was returning for a Man of Steel 2, and then within, it seems like a week or two, he's now announcing that he's not returning as Superman, which is a major heartbreak. And then it talks about rebooting the entire DC universe. Wonder Woman 3 has been canceled. They're not making that. They're also saying that Gal Gadot is not returning as Wonder Woman. One of which reasons was that she was too expensive. I mean, she is a big superstar, and she was looking to make $20 million to film Wonder Woman 3. That on top of, I think it was a 12 or 15 million for Patty Jenkins. There's also been talks about bringing Robert Pattinson's Batman into the DC universe. And even Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has made comments about this. He took a while to say it, but he finally came out that he is done playing the Black Adam. He was defending James Gunn and Peter Safran and their decision to move forward with the DCU, but he also said that Black Adam did not have a place in the first chapter of the DCU. So, and they said in quotes, first chapter, which is very open-ended, because does that mean he's not going to be in DCU at all? Or is he just not going to be in it for now and there's plans to bring him back later? I mean, he went on a very long post and rant about it, and I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's very long, but that's basically the long and short of it. Now, I did just find that quote from James Gunn about the statements that we've heard about rebooting everything except for his work with the Suicide Squad. And what it says exactly, and I quote, "I keep seeing posts with this untrue theory. We're not recasting everyone except the Suicide Squad." Now, that's a very vague statement. That could mean that he is rebooting everyone, including the Suicide Squad. Or that could mean that he's keeping the Suicide Squad and a couple other DC characters and castings. It's kind of frustrating because we're not getting answers. We're getting these little drops of misleading quotes. I mean, then again, it's not really misleading if you're not really giving us anything to work with, because that could mean just about anything. So we still know nothing. Basically, DC is an absolute mess right now. We don't know what's going on. We're going to have to wait till we get solid, concrete information directly from James Gunn before we know what's happening. Who's staying, who's going, nobody knows, and it sounds like it's going to be a while before we find out. But that being said, although I'm upset about Henry Cavill not returning as Superman, I am interested in this new project he has going on. Since he's not returning to DC, he's decided to team up with Amazon and make a Warhammer 40,000 series. Now, I don't know anything about this Warhammer game. Apparently, Henry Cavill is a big gaming nerd and plays Warhammer and paints figures and everything for the game. My understanding, it's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons. It's like a board game that involves miniature figures and rolling dice and a whole bunch of other things. Very, very big thing, apparently. But according to Hollywood Reporter, it is saying that he has teamed up with Amazon to secure the rights to the tabletop game produced by Games Workshop after months of negotiation and fending off rival companies that also sought the rights. This is envisioned as a potential film and TV play. Now, this is in very early development, so they do not have writers or showrunners attached to this yet. It's saying Vertigo Entertainment's Roy Lee and Natalie Viscuso teamed up with Cavill to secure the rights and deliver them to Amazon. Vertigo will executively produce with Cavill and Gauls, G-A-W-S. Okay, I'll go with that. Andy Smiley and Max Bottrell, along with Amazon Studios. I really hope I didn't booger all those names up because, again, if you've been here before, I'm not great with pronunciations. It says that Henry's well-known love of Warhammer 40,000 and his passion as a world builder and storyteller will serve us all well in the coming years. Finally, Warhammer will make it to the screen as the fans have hoped and as they have deserved. Now I'm just really intrigued to figure out what is going on with this Warhammer game and what I'm missing out on. Henry Cavill also quoted something saying, "I have loved Warhammer since I was a boy, making this moment truly special for me. The opportunity to shepherd this cinematic universe from its inception is quite the honor and responsibility." You know what? Good for him. He can't put the cape back on and return as Superman, but if he's doing something else he loves doing that is focused on a game that he's played as basically his whole life, good for him. I hope this works out for him. So let me know what your thoughts are down below on everything going on. DC's a mess. Terminator might be getting rebooted. We're getting a sequel to Twister. And more importantly, Henry Cavill's working on a Warhammer movie slash sequel TV play. We don't know yet. Apparently, we might get both. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, drop a like on the video. I greatly appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button on your way out. I'm Kevin, and I'll see you at the concession stands.